Hello everyone. Today we're going to be taking a look at set 926 or 493 Command Center from Classic Space. In addition to this larger set, I thought it could be fun to feature a couple of smaller sets. It can be really hard to find things to say about smaller sets when you review them on their own, but combining them with a larger base creates a kind of synergy where the sets complement each other. Also, it's way easier and way more fun to do stop motion animation with these smaller sets. And to make the setting even more inviting, let's bring in the Beta 1 command base and a couple of road plates. Now this looks like a proper base to do the review. Let's start with the minifigure selection of the command center. We get 2 white astronauts and 2 red ones, and they get a pair of walkie-talkies to stay in contact with each other at all times. These people also get a small gray buggy, which I should mention is identical to set 886 Space Buggy. The only difference is that the minifigure from 886 gets some kind of blaster instead of a walkie-talkie. The command center also comes with a second vehicle. Because of the large screen and swivel mechanism, this makes me think of some kind of camera truck, which is used to film important events for the space agency. I could totally see this vehicle following a crew of scientists to document their discoveries. Or, who knows, maybe this camera truck will be used to make science fiction movies. I'm sure there would be plenty of science fiction fans on the moon, so why not make a cheesy Alien First Contact movie? Or better yet, why not make one of Arthur C. Clarke's stories come to life? How cool would that be? It seems to be a pyramid.
Yes. Must be aliens.
While we have these vehicles in front of us, we might as well bring in set 889 Radar Truck. The reason that I wanted to feature this set in the video is because it shares the same parts and same general design language as the camera truck from the command center. The similarities between these vehicles and others ensure a certain continuity, a certain cohesiveness within the Classic Space team, and I must admit that I love this. Think of it this way. To simplify the production of these lunar buggies, the engineers of the space agency came up with a standard frame. And then, they simply made some variations of that same buggy depending on the needs of the individual. For example, the large radar dish from the radar truck seems to indicate that this red astronaut is a communications expert. They go from station to station, from outpost to outpost, and they make sure that all the communication systems are working properly. And if something isn't working, they can simply send a signal to the nearest station so they can send some supplies. And while we wait for those supplies to arrive, let's take a closer look at the interior of the command center. Inside, we'll find 2 transparent chairs that can rotate, and behind them we'll find a set of computer panels under a large window. To the left, we'll discover this absolutely magnificent printed brick, which shows us a chapter of the Classic Space story. On the outside of the building, we'll see some cool decorations here and there, and a variety of different antennas and radar dishes. The large radar dish can be spun and angled however you want, but the smaller one is a bit more limited in its movement. Under this radar dish, we'll see this large roof which covers this little parking area for the lunar buggies. Sadly, however, we can't really fit both buggies side by side because the crater is in the way. You could easily fix this by putting the base on a different base plate, and fun fact, this was actually done by LEGO themselves. Indeed, this set was released with 2 different base plates. One with the moon crater base plate, which I have, and one with a flat base plate and a couple of extra bricks to make some smaller craters. Although, this version of the set seems to have only been released in the United States. Still, even if it's a bit disappointing to not be able to place both vehicles side by side, it's not too important in the grand scheme of things. Oh, and look at that! Our replacement parts for the communication systems have just arrived. While our friend here is installing the replacement part, we might as well look at this small set. This is set 6822 Space Digger, and as you can see, we get a red astronaut and they get a walkie-talkie. Unlike the other vehicles we've seen today, this one doesn't have wheels, and therefore, we must conclude that it can levitate above the ground. But I'm not really sure why that matters. Honestly, I think the LEGO designers just wanted to make a cool vehicle with a claw arm, but they didn't want it to be too similar to the shovel buggy or the mobile lab, so they made a flying vehicle instead. Whatever the reason behind this design choice, I love it. And I also love the inclusion of these black boosters, which act as visible sources of propulsion. And behind these boosters, we'll see this super cool claw arm, which has a pretty wide range. Actually, this arm is long enough to reach the platform above the parking area, so I could see this vehicle being used for small tasks around the base. If you need some help to bring your tools at the top of a building, well, you can just call Jimmy in the Space Digger to help you out. But alright, now that we've taken a look at each one of the sets, what do I actually think of them? Well, I think it goes without saying, but the Command Center is a lovely set. I think it looks really cool, and I think it makes great use of a ton of cool parts. And this set becomes even better when you combine it with other buildings and vehicles to make a large moon base. As for the small sets, I don't think any of them stand out too much, but I was really happy to feature them in a video and give them a chance to shine. Also, I have a lot of other small classic space sets, so I will make sure to include some of them whenever I review my other large sets. But until then, I guess that's gonna be it for today, and thanks for watching.